Welcome back to 101 Great Goals. My name is Will Brazier and we are continuing our preview of Euro 2020. And I'm delighted to announce that we are joined by royalty. It's Paulo Ferreira. Paulo, how are you?
Yeah, all good, mate. Thank you.
Lovely
Thank you
stuff. We'll get straight into it, mate. Portugal won it in 2016. Is this a better side and can they defend their title?
No, it's a different one. There were like a few changes, from 2016. But it's still a strong side. Obviously we lost from last Euro, Nani, Quaresma, and Eder as well. The player that scored the goal on the final as well is not here. But Portugal, they still have a good team. Good players, a mix of experience with the youth as well. A good combination, and I believe that we can make a good competition.
You mentioned that experience as well, and it runs through the team, doesn't it, with a team full of leaders. Just how far do you think Portugal can go in this tournament?
I hope they can go as far as possible, but you never know in these competitions what can happen. It's always very tricky, and all depend of how you start the competition, and obviously and how the players will be as well on their best, because it's important, and everyone kind of try to go in the same direction, so they can go as far as possible. That's what I hope, that they can go as far as possible, and who knows, to win this competition. We know it's difficult, but not impossible.
What's the view like in Portugal? Like, looking from the media perspective, is there a lot of pressure on the team?
No, I don't think so. Pressure. I don't think players. They know what they have to do. They know the importance of wearing that shirt to represent your country, and on this big event. So they know what it means. Obviously, you put pressure in yourself as well, because you want to do the best you can. You want to go as far as you can, and pressure. You'll be always under pressure when you represent your country. There's no doubt. But with the players we have, with the experience they have as well, we have the players playing in the best clubs in Europe, and I believe that they are ready, and they will not feel any pressure.
Well, just on some of those players that we get to sample in the Premier League, Ruben Dias, João Cancelo, Bruno Fernandes, they've adapted to the Premier League so quickly. Obviously, you know them much better than I do. Was that a surprise for you?
No, I don't think so. I knew, the quality of them. I knew that they are top players. Obviously, they went to a club where it suits really the style of play of them, which make it a little bit much easier. And for me, it wasn't a surprise. And you can see how top players they are, and how they've been doing and performing as well. So obviously, I'm really happy, especially when I see Portuguese players going to the Premier League and perform and doing well, because for me it's the best league in the world. And for me, it's not a surprise. I'm really happy for what they've been doing, and I hope they keep playing like this.
Group for Portugal is very tough. France and Germany in there. I mean, how do you see the group going?
No, it's a tough group. It's a tough group. Unfortunately, one of the big teams, will be out. I hope not Portugal, obviously. But it's a really tough group. But we can't also forget about Hungary, because they are there, and people, they just think about Portugal, France, and Germany, and you never know. Sometimes you can have a surprise, so you can underestimate the Hungarian team, because for them, they have nothing to lose. It's the opposite, because they can also play against top players, big clubs, and they want to show up as well, because they know all the eyes will be in this competition, and these kind of games, they have a big chance of giving their best, be seen, and you never know. You need to be careful, respect them as well. But it's a tough group.
Would that be in the back of the mind for some of the Hungary players, just picking up on a point you made there, just because they're on such a big stage, and maybe for some of the big European teams to come in for them?
No, it is, and that's why for them they have nothing to lose. They know they are not the favorites, but in football is full of surprises, and if you're not careful, then you never know. But obviously for them it's massive, to be in that group. They know it's hard, but also like a big opportunity for them to to be seen, and who knows, if they do really well, some of those players they can move to much better clubs as well.
France play Germany, obviously Portugal play Hungary. How important is it just to get those 3 points on the board from your experience yourself?
No, it's really important to start well the competition. Like we had that in Euro 2004 when we lost the first game against Greece, and then obviously the second game and the third game we had to kind of push hard to win both and pass to the next like a knockout stage. So and here it's the same. We need to play well and try to win against Hungary, and hope one of the other, France or Germany, to one of them to lose the game. So that will be really important for us, because if you finish the game with a draw or something, then it can be difficult. But I hope that we can win the first game. So give us like a really good how you say bit more confident for the second game. So, and that's really important for us, like to start well the competition.
Cristiano Ronaldo, you played with him for international level, against him at club level. It appears ageless at this rate, but just why is he so special, Paulo?
No, because he's one of the best in the world. Like him and Messi. For me, they are the two best players in the world, and have him playing for Portugal, it's amazing. And like we talk so much about Cristiano, and everyone knows who he is, what he can do, and how top player, top professional he is, and how serious he takes this, and he wants to do well in every game, every training session, every competition, and when he loses, even in a training session, he gets so upset because it's on his 80th. So it's what it is. Like Cristiano, I think it will be really important for us, because it's a player that can always decide the game anytime. It could be free kick, corner kick, whatever 1v1 situation. He can decide the game. So everyone knows, and even for the opposition, they know that they have to respect him as well, and he's a really important player for us, definitely.
Is he the best player that you've had to face in your career?
No, it is one of the the top players I played with. So obviously when I started in the national team, he was around 18, so it was in the beginning of his career, and I saw all his progression and how better and better he became, but because of the hard work that he put himself, and the goals he set to himself as well. So he wants always more and more and more, and for me it's a big example, for everyone. Obviously he was one of the the best players I played with. There's another one that I said before, that was Deco as well. Playing with him, not just in the club but in the national team, was also like a top player that I was fortunate to play with an amazing player. But to be honest, I was fortunate to play with so many top players. So, yeah, I think we could make like two teams. I think so.
It's not bad, is it? It's very good options to have.
That's it, yeah.
Just on him as well, he needs one goal to overtake Platini's record. I mean, you spoke about he's the man for the big moments. I mean, is it a corner, free kick, a penalty? It just feels like he's going to do it in this tournament, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. So it's just one goal. I believe that he will do it. So, and that's something he probably have as well in his mind. Is to, if there's records to break, and if he can do it, he will do everything to break those records. As the other one that probably is looking for as well, to be the top goal scorer in all the national teams. So he's not far as well, and probably is another goal that he has in his mind to reach, and probably he will, because he will not for sure stop until he break that record as well. But it's Cristiano, and I hope he can break those records, because he really deserves. He's a top player, and this one, one goal from Platini, for sure he will do it.
Back to your career, 2004, the final, you come on as a substitute. But how do you sort of mentally prepare for that? Because the game's big enough itself, but then to keep yourself ready and fit, how do you do it?
No, you have to be as much prepared as you can, because in that tournament I started the first game. Unfortunately, we lost against Greece, and then I only played that game. I came to play the final, so it was a long way from the first group stage game until the final without playing. But we had to be as fit as possible, as ready as possible if the manager needed in any game. So that's what I tried to do. I was always working hard and make sure that I was ready if the manager needed. So in that final, unfortunately for Miguel, he picked an injury just before the halftime, and then I went to replace him. We were already losing 1-0, so it wasn't easy as well. But I had to be prepared. I had to be mentally ready as well. But soon you go inside and you start playing, then you start forgetting all of the things that you might be thinking, and obviously, unfortunately we lost that game as well. But I try to be as much ready as possible, physically and mentally.
The tournament itself was obviously in Portugal. Was that added pressure for you, and just what was that like, turning up to games in your own home country?
No, you can. It's good in one way that you play for your country. You have also your supporters like to pushing you, and which is nice. But we could see that sometimes it's not all. It's not everything, because unfortunately we play at home and we didn't win the competition. We lost the final. But that happened as well in France. Obviously France, they play at home as well, and they lost the final against Portugal. So it's a bit tricky. In one way, I think it's nice because you have your own supporters, like to push you, and but can be also a bit tricky, and also be negative, because you might end up losing even playing at home. So it's quite difficult to say if it's better to play at home or not. So in one way, yes, but in the other one, it can be also hard if you play and not win it. So.
Well, I just wanted to touch on it from an English perspective as well, because obviously playing for Chelsea, you've experienced those Chelsea fans and England fans as well. We've got a lot of games at Wembley. It feels at the moment going into the tournament it'll be a positive, but you've seen both sides of it.
No, it is, and like I was saying, it's nice for for England, they play some games at home, but it doesn't mean anything. That's why I'm saying it can be nice, but also you can maybe lose the game. So I think what you have to do is just to be focused. Try to give your best, enjoy. To have your supporters like to push you and support you and help you. But sometimes it's not it's not easy, and maybe the result in the end might not be what you want.
Fullbacks, right back, obviously that's your speciality. Two fantastic ones, Cancelo and Semedo. Talk me through them, and I mean, how are they going to fit into this Portugal team?
No, they are two top players, both of them playing in England as well. And to be honest, we are happy to have those two players in the national team. They are good players. So if one doesn't play, the other one will give the same. And the team for sure will not lose anything. So that's the important thing. But there are two top players. Who will gonna play? I don't know. It has to be the manager to decide, obviously. But we have two really good fullbacks. Yeah.
And then just on that as well, how for you have fullbacks evolved? Because we've seen João sometimes playing in centre midfield. It's sort of changed a little bit. How's that evolved?
No, it's different. Obviously in the club it does sometimes some different movements, but this is what they work weekly, and what the manager wants. In the national team, it's a different manager. Probably he will do something different. But importantly, as a player, you just have to adapt of what the managers want. Whatever will be the club manager or the national team manager, you need to go there and adapt, because that's normal. You work more and you spend more time in the club, and sometimes you work with players and you start getting used to those players, and then you go to the national team and you play with different players, and you need to quickly adapt and adjust. So they have time. They've been working now, and they've been there before, so they know the players, and they know what they have to do. So I don't see any problem with that. So I believe they will do well.
What defenders away from Portugal are you looking forward to see playing?
I'm looking, I don't know, for Trent Alexander-Arnold, Reece James as well. As if you ask me as fullbacks, for example, obviously Pavard, it's another one, good player from France, and but let's see, because there's always players that you don't know much, that probably they will do really well in this competition. For some of them, it's been a long season, and they reach this stage a little bit tired, and it's important for the national teams to work them and make sure that they have a rest, and then they're ready for this massive competition. But there's always surprises. There's always players that you were not thinking, and maybe didn't knew them quite much, that they can show up and do really well. This is the beauty of this kind of tournaments. So let's see. You have to wait and see how it goes, and who can probably show up, and new players as well.
One man who's had a huge influence on Portugal, Pepe, 38 going into the tournament, Paulo. Just how much of a leader is he, and how good is that for this squad?
No, he will. Everyone knows Pep. He look after himself. Even with that age, he had a fantastic season. Porto, he did really well, and he's been in the national team for a long time as well. So he's one of the captains, and a leader as well, and he's also passing his experience to the other players, and players that are arriving to the national team as well. And for him to be there, it's the manager believe that he's ready. He can keep helping the national team, helping the other players as well, and it's been fantastic. At that age, playing at this level, still playing at this level is not easy and simple, but he's a player that really deserves. He look after himself, and I think he can play a few years more for sure.
Well, maybe it's him or someone else, but we wanted to know from this current Portugal squad, is there anyone that you think stands out as a manager going forward?
I don't know. Looking for those players that are now over 30s, and probably on that kind of different direction now, and start probably thinking about the future, and I don't know. I can see Pepe. I can see probably Fonte or João Moutinho. Those kind of players that when they retire, they might be and be good managers. I don't know. But because of their personality, the amount of years that they've been playing at the highest level, I believe they can do it. But obviously, we don't know what goes in their minds, because there's some players that they say that they will never become a manager, and then years later they became managers. So then they change their minds. But I believe these ones that they are already like 30 somethings, they can be probably, or they can become managers in the future if they want, and I think they can do really well.
Speaking of manager, Paulo, I want to put the power into your hands, and I want to know what would be your starting 11 for that first game against Hungary.
Oof,
big questions.
No, it is because obviously it's quite hard to pick up players, because we don't know how they look like now, and it's quite difficult to do like a start 11, and because like you're not there, it's difficult. You might go like by names and or something, or what they've been doing during the season, but I don't know. Like wherever who plays, I think the team will not change much, and but I don't know. Like I put here, I don't know, with Patricio, maybe Cancelo, Ruben Dias, Fonte, Rafael Guerreiro, maybe the back four, I don't know, and then William Carvalho, João Moutinho, Fernandes, maybe the three in the middle, and then up front, like Bernardo Silva, Cristiano Ronaldo, and João Felix. Like they're really talented players, and but obviously, I don't know. This is just
good team.
My team, but obviously it's hard because you're not there watching the sessions. You don't know, how they look like at the moment, and obviously the Fernando Santos, he will pick up for sure the best 11 that he believes they can start well this competition, and whatever who will play, for sure he will do really well.